Hey guys, what's going on? It's Gheesling. Welcome to a unique episode of the podcast. I debated whether or not to even send this one live, but what it is, it's a moment in time when I was driving and there was a ton of stuff going on, and I was really just kind of talking through the process of sorting through a lot of hectic things going on. And I'm hoping that you'll get some value from this. I don't know. This is what, normally when I publish a podcast, I'm like, yo, this is good. The listeners are going to get something from this. This is literally me walking through a couple things in my car. Well, I mean, while I'm driving, just kind of literally just almost stream of conscious. But anyways, it's something weird, something out of left field. Hope you guys enjoy it. And let's jump right into it. The quality is going to be like car quality. So just a heads up on that. Enjoy it. See you guys. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan. Just driving right now and had a notion or desire or really just thought this may be useful for you to listen to. So I'm going to share it with you. So right now, I don't talk about it much really ever at all. I'm not going to get into the details of it, but outside of everything I do gaming wise on the internet in terms of Twitch and YouTube and all the content we produce, the articles on Medium, the podcast, everything. Outside of that, I have for more or less, full-time business that I run, completely unrelated to all that. And I'm just piecing everything together right now as I'm driving. And I feel like there's an analogy I always use during the Twitch show. And it's like, what do you do when you're trapped in a jail cell with 20-foot walls, but the 20-foot walls are made entirely of birthday cake? And that's how I feel right now. And in terms of, I'm running through everything in my head, and let me hit you with specifics here. So with my quote-unquote real-life business, it's been eating up a lot of time lately, which is not the ideal situation, but it is what it is. There's no getting around it. And, there's times when it eats up a lot of time, and there's time when it's not. So when that happens, things really start to pile up everywhere else. And I try to design the business as much as I can so it doesn't take a ton of my time, because it's, I don't want to spend all my time operating this private business, because I truly am passionate about and enjoy what I get to do, online. And if it's like, hey, if you have a choice, what would you rather spend your time doing? But I don't want to say that I don't like the private business, because I enjoy that too. It's just different. I like it because the more I do it, the less time I have to spend on it. However, there are times when I got to spend a lot of time on it anyways. So things are starting to pile up on the gaming side of things. And I'm driving and I'm like, okay, holidays are coming up. How am I going to navigate through this? So in terms of, and I don't want this to be perceived as a complaint. It's just listing for you what's going through my head and then trying to figure out a way through it and process it. And I'm hoping that you gain some insight from it. So I have a bunch of content or episodes I need to record in the next 72 hours for GameTune, which is a European TV station that I have an agreement with. And when you do that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, Dan, it's just easy, just create content. But bottom line, it's like hours and hours, and there's no like shortcuts around it or anything like that. So that's on the plate. YouTube, we're falling behind schedule in terms of what I want to do. I'm clear on what I want to do, but it's just a matter of squeezing that time in to do it. So, Daniel, what do you want to do? I want to produce short Tarkov videos every single day in one time slot, and then have a rotating afternoon time slot, whether it's a roguelike like Bumbo or Isaac or Mario Maker or whatever, that's really what I want to do. And then, just to complicate things even more, I want to sprinkle in, the random things that people will really enjoy that can't be fit into a box. Like there are reaction videos to, compilations like NLSS stuff, and even beyond that. That may be the one-off NCAA football return or whatever, So I have a vision of what I want to do there, and that's falling behind. One of the other things going on is the Twitch show. There's a lot of administrative stuff and production stuff that needs to be done in terms of, this is all stuff that is all good stuff to do. and good stuff meaning enjoyable. It's just kind of carving out the time to do it and then prioritizing. But things like, there's a bunch of sounds that need to be updated, some new scenes that need to be put on the show. And and I'm very fortunate and very excited that, I've two guys on the team, they're paid and they're hired and they're able to do a lot of things that help for the show in the back end, and very grateful for them. But there's things that they can't do, because for a myriad of reasons, some of which because they're remote and some of which because there's only things that I can do. But, I feel like, I'm driving, I'm like, okay, hey, I'm in one of these rare air positions where I feel like the walls of cake are squeezing me a little bit. And so the first thing I do is to get through that. I'm like, okay, hey, look, and it's weird because everyone processes it differently. But for me, I physically feel an internal squeeze. Not like a mental thing for me. It's like I feel it kind of in my chest area. And it's not like, like heart problems or anything like that, but I just feel it. It feels like a weight. So first thing I do is when I start to feel it, I'm like, okay, hey, why am I feeling that way? And so then I identify, all right, the walls are starting to squeeze in. I can start to taste the frosting, and I don't want to be tasting frosting right now. So then the next step is, okay, for me, prioritize. What are the things that I have to do that I necessarily don't want to do, but they have to be done? So in my head, I'm in my car right now driving to do some things from our real life business that have to be done so I can get those out of the way. Then what's the next most pressing thing? The next most pressing thing that needs to be done, it's not an abacus, but it's like the scales of justice, right? What do you want to do? And then what do you have to do? And then what is most beneficial in the long term? Meaning, I don't know if that makes sense or not, but for me, it's just, I love doing stuff for creating content for the community, right? That's the ideal situation. I love doing that. But I've got a contractual obligation to get these Game Tune episodes done, which is a whole nother story. So it's like, hey, by taking up the 5 hours that I need to allocate to sit down and record these and then test the audio production of it, record intros and outros, especially for Game Tune. Like, it's 5 hours of work, but it's more than that because with the testing and everything, it's probably like closer to like 6.5, 7 hours. And that typically, that chunk of time is allocated towards the YouTube channel. So it's like, how do you create another 7, 8 hours in a week where there isn't any? And I think that's the misnomer. It's like, well, Daniel, you spent 90 minutes yesterday buying Christmas gifts. Well, that was also something that had to be done. So it's like, I don't know. I just kind of step through it and kind of place it out. And what helps me kind of getting out of the jail cell one bite at a time is just prioritize and start doing the things one thing at a time. So I'm driving now, knocking out this real life business stuff. Boom, get that off my table. When I'm done with that, I'm going to knock out one Game Tune. Test that, see how it goes, move on from there. So it's just kind of going through the list. And then also at the same time, and I've mentioned this before in Random Rant podcast, also giving yourself a little permission, and when I say give myself a little permission, be like, hey, look, all right, YouTube is going to be slow for a day or 2 or 3. And then you got to be okay with that for the trade-off of everything you've agreed to. So just kind of going through all that and processing all that. That's how I do it. And even just talking about this here selfishly, it's like, all right, even that took like 10 pounds off the weight, if that makes sense. But also the other thing is that to go a full cyclical circle, I know the other thing that can really, for me, individually, that I know about myself, that can really erase a lot of the weight is working out. And I've talked about before about going on a tear in terms of, we ran 56 straight weeks of 10 miles a week, and it felt good. And then, I got pneumonia, blah, blah, blah. There's no excuse, but I haven't been working out consistently since then. And so I know if I get that rolling, then all of a sudden things become more efficient and stuff like that. But there's so many pieces to the puzzle. It's like if you look at it all at once, you're like, man, this jail cell is 20 feet deep. You know, it's a lot harder to get out of that rather than just, all right, one step at a time. So I think with this random rant, I guess, / stream of consciousness, if what I hope, you know, I don't know what you take from it. I can tell you what, you know, what I would hope you'd take from it is that if you got like the feeling of, hey, there's all these things you want to do and accomplish and you don't have time, and just start chipping away, man. Just get it down. And I think on a macro level, for me, it's taking a step back and say, all right, look, is the way the goals and everything that I have set up or the things that I want to produce, is that feasible right now? And is there anything I need to take off the plate? Which is, it's such an ironic thing in its own right. But the outlying factor is that after ranting at this for the next 10 minutes, you'll probably never hear it because I won't put it on the podcast feed. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dan Gheesling. Have a live mini rant update for you. I want to jump right into it. I want to share what I'm going through with you right now so that I think maybe you'll be able to take something away from it. Right now, I'm in a rare air position where there's a lot going on, and there's a saying that we always say in the show, or that I always say in the show. It's like, if you feel yourself trapped in a jail cell with 20-foot walls, but instead of the walls being made of concrete, they're made of birthday cake, how do you get out? And the answer is one bite at a time. And I'm in one of those moments right now, and I want to share with you how I'm getting through it. So right now, it's the holiday season. You know, things are winding down for people, but it's a really hectic and busy time for everyone. And one of the things I'm always conscious to never say to anyone, or even to myself, I do my best, is that I never say I'm busy, because I feel like everyone is busy. So it's like, hey, I'm alive, and everyone is alive. So it's not something you talk about. However, there's times when you're really kind of getting hammered with a lot of stuff, and I'm in one of those moments, which is cool. So it's like, all right, how do I get out of that moment, right? For me, I'll hit you with the quick details. I know some people like to hear exactly why. But long story short, I don't talk about it often. I'm not going to get into the details of this particular thing, but outside of everything I do online with Twitch and YouTube and the podcast and Medium articles and, you know, everything I do online, I run a full-time business. And when that gets really busy, I have to dedicate time to that. It's not necessarily I choose to, it's like things have to be done for it. And when that happens, then my time to work on what I'm super passionate about, all the stuff online, creating content, it gets reduced. And not to say I'm not passionate about my real life business. I enjoy it, but it's like, it's just two different things. So when that heats up, things stack up on the other side of my life, meaning on the other side of the business. And when I look at it from a day-to-day level, it can get a little bit like, man, how am I going to get through this? Not how am I going to get through this, but this is a lot to get through. And where am I going to find the time? And so when I'm driving and I'm like, all right, this is typically when I'm driving right now, this is typically time I'm knocking out videos, whether, you know, quick checklist. I have a bunch of episodes to produce for GameTune, which is the European TV deal that we signed to produce content for them monthly. So I'm behind on that. I need to get those done. YouTube, today is the last day of videos. So after today, YouTube is empty. And so behind on that. And then there's a lot of Twitch administrative things that need to be done outside of running the show. You know, like production value things that are done and need to be updated. Final branding tweaks, just a lot of stuff like that needs to be done. And I'm very, very fortunate and excited because a lot of the administrative stuff, both on YouTube and Twitch, and some of the creative stuff too, for sure, is, you know, I'm fortunate to have two guys on the team that I've hired that help make everything run. But there are certain things they can't do because either logistically they work remotely, or they just can't do it. It's something that I physically have to do. So with all this stuff stacking up, It's like, all right, what do you do now? And this is what I just have processed in my head as I'm driving to do this real life business work. It's like, all right, take a step back and prioritize. Number one thing, what has to be done that you don't want to do that first. That's what I'm doing right now in the car. I'm driving to get this taken care of for my real life business and be done. All right, quickly thereafter, what's the next move? What's the next thing that has to be done that you want to do a little bit less? Get that done and take it from there. And I think just taking a step back and instead of looking at the 20-foot walls of cake of the jail cell, and I say that, and I hope, the one thing I don't want people taking this is complaining, because it's not. I'm happy to be in my own jail cell that I've constructed because that's what I've designed. So I take full responsibility for it, but I also enjoy it. I feel like there's a part of me too that enjoys right now in my life. I enjoy I enjoy running around like a madman, getting a lot of stuff done. And, I enjoy that to an extent. But, so I don't want it to be taken as complaining, because that's not it at all. I just want to share with you this moment of like, all right, hey, you're juggling 18 balls and then we're throwing a 19th one. How do we get some of those out of there, and how do we kind of power through it? So really kind of the brass tacks of what I've talked myself through in this car is get the stuff done you don't want to do first, even though you don't want to do it. Get that out of the way. Then go down to the next thing that you want to do second less of all, and get that done, and just start chipping away. And I think kind of for me, what is the linchpin? There's two linchpins. One is that knowing that you can't just magically make 8-10 hours appear out of the week. I think I know for a fact I can carve some time out and, take time away from something else to get it all done. But in the event that I can't, a call just came in. It disconnected me from giving you the car podcast. In the event that I can't, and this I feel like the important part, to internally say, all right, you know what? That's going to happen, and that's okay. Just as soon as humanly possible, get it back going again. And when I talked about that, it's YouTube. Because I'm certain, I know I see the outline for what needs to be done on YouTube, but realistically, that's the first thing that drops off when my real life business picks up. And this is, I think the thing that you'll hear time to time, you'll hear recurring issues. And that, and it's always YouTube. That's always the first one. But I don't know. For me, it's just kind of getting back up and continuing to execute and figure it out until it gets into a good flow. And that's where I'm at right now. So I just wanted to share this with you, because sometimes, and I try not to have this perception, sometimes it may seem like, hey, everything is going like perfectly and smoothly. But really, sometimes I like to pull back the curtain or invite you back into the kitchen and see there's grease fires everywhere, because that's the more realistic look at it. And it's just a matter of when there's a grease fire, how do you navigate it? And that's what I'm doing right now. But at the same time, I'm doing it happily because I'm excited to have the opportunity to be able to do all these things that, that I enjoy a lot. And so I think that's kind of how I frame things also internally, is that even though things are hectic, I still really enjoy everything going on, even though sometimes you get like a weight type physical feeling. So anyways, I just wanted to share this random car podcast with you. I hope you enjoy it. I was hesitant. I actually recorded like a 12-minute stream of conscious rant before this. Then I'm like, at the end of it, I'm like, you'll never hear the light of day. And then I recorded this one because I felt this one, I just didn't want to put something out there that was just stream of conscious because I wasn't sure the value that would be derived from it. Where this one, it's like, all right, hey, here's what's happened, and here's what I'm physically doing to kind of navigate it. I thought you'd maybe get some more out of this, but let me know what you thought about this one. It's definitely a change up from what we normally do. I hope you guys enjoyed the car podcast. If you did, and you're on Twitter, just tweet me an emoji of a car, and that will tell me that you enjoyed this one or you got some value from it, and then to do more of them. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll talk to you guys soon.